this stretch of 32 now from I-55 into St. Genevieve will be built. And the other project, the project we're letting in combination, is a project on I-55 that does pavement repair and shoulders on I-55, and that's important. The reason why we put those projects together was by having more asphalt to be delivered and things, we brought the price down on both projects, and thus we were able to get the economy from that. So we're excited about it. We currently have more than $1 billion worth of improvements underway on our state's highways. Today's improvements we're talking about is a little over $7 million in St. Genevieve County. The back of your event program talks about the details of these improvements, so I won't bore you with those. We were fiscally smart, we believe, in working with this project. Ended up by putting this together and making a few other changes. We were able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars for Missourians, even though it took longer for it to get here, and so we appreciate your patience in that part of it. Senator Staples, who's with us here today, and Representative Patrick Nager, both worked hard on the bond financing package to make it a reality. We appreciate their work on that. I know that that it was a bipartisan coming together in order to say Missourians need better roads now. We can't necessarily solve all the problems with it. We aren't solving all the problems with it, but we can at least accelerate some things that need to be done and need to be done now. So one of the reasons why we're here today is not only to break ground, which we're going to do in a few minutes, but also to preview a sign that we are including with projects associated with this acceleration of projects. We're going to use it with all of our projects, but it's called Show Me Progress. This is to, as a department, say to the people, we are accountable for what we do, and we are going to make progress with the money we've been entrusted with. And so we want to make good on the monies that have come to us, the trust that's been shown to us by the legislature, so that we can continue to work with Missourians to solve the transportation problems in Missouri. We need more money. This is a beginning. It's a very good beginning, but the long-term solution is going to include more than just what's been passed so far. So it's going to take more and more work ahead. But this is our down payment on earning that trust for the extra money that has been entrusted to us. We also, part of that accountability will be added to the bottom of this sign. We'll tell on specific projects what's going to happen and when it's going to be completed. And it also gives our 800 number in case anybody has any questions. The 800 toll-free, it's 888, not 800, but this is just, again, accountability that says we're out here doing with your money these improvements. If you have any questions, give us a call. This is when we're going to be accountable to finish it by mid-2001 on this particular project. So those are the sign issues that we're going to do. One thing that's significant for us, this is some of the first bonding projects in the entire state, first of all. Secondly, this is the first project that's going to include this sign and do the bonding here in our southeast district, in the Fort Meade County, southeast Missouri. Without any further ado, we're going to turn this over to the people who really are going to who deserve the credit for what we've been able to do here, and ask them to make some remarks. Our first speaker will be Mayor Ralph Beckerman. He's the mayor of St. Genevieve. Mayor. There he is.
Thanks, Scott. This has been a long-awaited ceremony, and we're really happy to see it finally get to us. St. Genevieve, Highway 32, as you probably well know, St. Genevieve in its comprehensive plan has expanded the city limits out Highway 32. We see that as a a very important transportation mode to get to our city. And someday the ground you're standing on might be city limits someday. Just for the record, this is the way we're heading. This is the way the growth is coming. And we see this, Scott, is a very important link to the growth of our county and, of course, our community. And as the mayor of St. Genevieve, I'd like to thank MoDOT and the Highway Department, and, of course, our legislators who so diligently worked on this so long. And many letters went in from a lot of business people in the community. And of course, the legislators helped us. And, of course, with all their efforts, we were able to finally secure this project. So thank you again.
Jeff Roth is the Associate Commissioner for St. Genevieve County. Jeff.
Well, I'm not going to pretend that I'm responsible for a whole lot of this. We did send a few letters and made some phone calls, but I do thank Patrick and Danny for all that they did to see that this is finally happening. It is going to be really good for our goals toward economic development to improve our access to St. Genevieve, and also from the city out to the highway. That's important also. I don't have a whole lot to say other than thanks a lot for those who were responsible.
Thank you, Jeff. Our next speaker is Representative Patrick Nager. He's from District 155th District, and we appreciate his support. Thanks, Patrick.
All you tall guys, I want to know how they plug this thing in. I don't see the outlet. I would like to stand before each and every one of you and take all the responsibility, all the credit for everything that's been done, but I know Senator Staples wouldn't let me do that. It's been a pleasure to be involved in this, and I think it's important to know that this project is started before I was elected to the legislature, and I had the responsibility because of Herb Fallard's hard work and my predecessor, who was involved in this early on, to carry the torch and help to see it through, and I think some credit is owed to Mr. Fallard for his participation early on in this. It's been quite an ordeal in a time when funding has been somewhat short for highway projects in this state. We have been able to secure the funds and to see this project through, and Senator Staples, I know, has worked very, very hard on this, and we've been able to work together with local community leaders, the city of St. Genevieve County. There's been some changes that had to take place that the local citizens felt were necessary, and I applaud the efforts of our Southeast District staff and the leadership of Scott Myers, who always has a can-do attitude, and Dale Kinnaman and Randy Rischerity, and Steve Hernig, and all those folks who have worked hard and been responsive to us in this process. And I think this is an exciting time. This is not only good for the citizens who travel this on a daily basis, and good for their safety, as well as the tourists who want to come and see the beautiful city of St. Genevieve and the historic St. Genevieve. It's good for them. It's good. I know Marvin has to be excited about this. This is another tool that gives him a greater ability to market the economic potential of this region, and as well as for our county and city leaders. So this is an exciting time. There are things changing on a daily basis. We are very blessed to have the group of people who have given the concerted effort to make this possible, and I'm just extraordinarily pleased to be just a small part of it. And I want to thank all of you for your activism and seeing things through, and thanks, Scott, for all you've done.
Senator Staples was in Cape Girardeau for one of the signings of the bond financing, and came with the governor. Was very, I'd say he was very influential. It was a bipartisan support that came together, and it's kind of a representative of what's here today. When transportation comes together, it doesn't usually cut along Democrat or Republican lines. It's along helping people and showing progress in the state, and so that's what Show Me Progress is all about. Your Senator, Danny Staples.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here with one of my closest personal friends, the district engineer of this district. And you're very fortunate to have Scott Meyer as your district engineer here, because as chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee, I work with every district engineer in the state of Missouri. And I can say this, and I can say it truthfully. You know, you watch TV and you listen to the radio and you read the newspaper, and some politicians are accusing other politicians of saying untruths about each other. This morning I would like to attest that this community, this county, and all south of us have the best district engineer in the state of Missouri, in Scott Meyer. And he's one of the most easy to work with district engineers in the state of Missouri. And he always comes forth with the absolute truth about the projects, and he's also taller than the rest of those district engineers. I don't like to take credit for something that the community did. I don't like to take credit for something that I had very little to do with. What we have in the state of Missouri, and also in the entire nation, is the traffic on our highways here has increased by 75% in the last 10 years. We're going to have to pay for our new highways in some respect or other. As chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee, I threw out some things that we needed to look at. One was toll. One was privatizing some of the highways. And the other was a fuel tax increase. And it's very difficult to ask the voters of the state of Missouri to increase fuel taxes when our fuel is at an all-time high. For that reason, the leadership, Steve Gall, the Speaker of the Missouri House, and the President Pro Tem of the Missouri Senate, Senator Mathis, and I, along with Representative Kohler, the Chairman of the House Committee on Transportation, all got together and decided that the most productive way that we could jumpstart the Transportation Department in the state of Missouri would be by passing and selling bonds to fund some of the highway projects in the state of Missouri. We all knew that this wasn't the total answer to the transportation problem, but we did know that projects such as this could be jump-started, and we can get on with construction of the needed maintenance and repair and some new roads and bridges in the state of Missouri. Like Scott has said, it was a bipartisan effort by Democrats, Republicans, and everyone in the Missouri legislature. When they brought the bill to my committee, I demanded and asked that it be a nonpartisan issue, that the entire Senate Committee on Transportation sign on to that legislation. They did, and it become reality, and it's now in the effective works. I also chair the Oversight Committee for the Department of Transportation, and they're going to be submitting their long-range plan for the first $250 million in highway work by November the 10th to our committee. I know that people don't like to hear sometimes the awesome truth about what goes on within state government or within the state of Missouri. But this morning I'm going to tell you the awesome truth about the Department of Transportation. The Department of Transportation is short of money to do the things that we're going to be needing to do in the next 3 to 5 years. I know that most of us, and Danny Staples included, don't like higher taxes. But if you go into Illinois from the city of St. Louis at 4:30 in the afternoon, or if you're in the state of Illinois and you come into St. Louis at 7 o'clock in the morning, you realize that there's sometimes an hour and a half traffic jam there to get across the Mississippi River. That's only part of the problem in the state of Missouri. If you go into St. Louis, like I often do, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or come out of there at 7 o'clock in the morning, you can see why we have an oil shortage in the United States of America. It's because of the traffic, it's because of the consumption. We're living in modern days and modern times when the problems are greater than they were when I was 16 years old. We're going to have to find some type of solution to pay for and to build a new transportation department for the state of Missouri. Last year I was hit with a project that would cost the state of Missouri $64 million to bring Amtrak in from the state of Illinois down through from Chicago to Kansas City. $64 million for Amtrak to run into Kansas City with their high-speed rail. I don't know what's happened to that. I haven't heard anything about it lately, but the thing that I said was, first we need to work on Interstate 55, Interstate 70, and Interstate 44 to bring those up to the standards that Missourians asked the Missouri Department of Transportation and the Missouri General Assembly to do. And with that, I want to say congratulations to the people in St. Genevieve, Missouri, St. Genevieve County, and those that work in Farmington, those that work in Farmington that work in St. Genevieve, because Highway 32 is finally going to become a better road to travel. Again, let me remind you that the Missouri General Assembly shouldn't take credit for things that they don't do. The Department of Transportation makes the studies. They do the engineering. The communities then write letters to the legislature and to the people in the Department of Transportation requesting that these projects be done. And that's how they become reality. The legislature is only a token of the people that they represent. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be here this morning, and I wish you the very best luck in the future.
Thank you, Senator. We going to bore you probably just a few seconds with a few engineering things, because a lot of our people here and these engineering things are important, not that you know what they do or how they do, but how they affect the road. I got here a little early today, and so I drove 32 the other direction to Farmington and back. And I don't know if you've noticed it since they've changed it, but the engineering that we do is very intricate in that we changed the super on those curves so you can drive them a lot safer, a lot smoother. It's a lot more enjoyable ride with the shoulders, the rumble strip, all the safety things that have been added to that project. They're also going to be on this project. Those things are intricately designed and engineered by your friends and neighbors who work for the Missouri Department of Transportation. And we want to recognize that. And not only are they engineered, but then when they construct it, you have to make sure they construct it that same way. So I'm just going to read a few names here of those that have been key to these projects. That's Tim Richmond, Jeff Wachter, Dave Luther, David Wyman, Tom Ferris, Dale Kinnaman, Matt Malone, and everyone on our project teams that come together to make this thing really happen. Because it's one thing to do it and desire it and have it, but it's another thing to have it done and have it done correctly and well. And we think that our project teams put together projects that serve Missourians, that are cost effective, and that do the right things for the safety of the motorist. And that's our key and our most important thing, is the safety of you and your families as you're out here on the roadways, trying to travel from one place to another in a safe manner. And so we want to thank all of those folks. Did want to recognize another person, Tim Paulson with APAC. He's the contractor that's doing the work. He didn't want to talk, but we did want him to participate in the groundbreaking today. So if those who spoke and Tim would come forward, we'll break the ground. Hopefully we got some rain.
There he is. All right. Sure. Anybody else? You got pictures?
That completes our ceremony. The signs will go up, I think, Dale, today, later this week. I can't hear a word you're saying, but later this week.
Later this week or the first part of next week.
Or the first part of next week, okay.
We just got the signs and
Yeah, the ink's still dry.
Anybody want to buy a shovel? What out here?
$3.
Sold.